Hi, and welcome to my channel.
Honestly. Hey, Uncle Kenny! Football! Hey, yeah!
If you're new here, my name is Cedric. I am an actor, a filmmaker, a screenwriter, a YouTube reactor. I have a podcast. I make really good cheese quesadillas. Speaking of the podcast, yeah, if you missed it last week, I had Amanda Valentine on, who's an author and screenwriter currently living in New Zealand. She's awesome. You should totally check out that episode. This week's episode features Kojo Samana, who's a cinematographer, a director, a creator in general, and we talk about kind of finding inspiration for projects and finding motivation to work, which is really hard to do sometimes. So check that out if you want, wherever you get your podcasts. It's called the All the World Podcast. I am filming this on Palm Sunday, so if you're a person of the Christian faith like I am, I just wanted to take a quick moment to say happy Holy Week. I hope this is a refreshing week and a week of reflection for all of us. And even if you're not a person of faith, I hope it is also that. I think that kind of transcends spiritual boundaries, I guess. So, but for me, it's definitely a week of reflection, and maybe it's something that within these videos, maybe I discover something that I think there's a lot of sort of religious themes that come out of this, and certainly BTS has made me think about my own faith in some cool ways. So. I haven't really talked about that a ton, but certainly BTS's videos, you think about certainly Blood, Sweat, and Tears, that sort of sense of the eternal that permeates their work has really kind of started to sit with me and make me think about things. Black Swan, some of those performances that have really hit me in a way, or even Life Goes On, which might be a little bit more simple, but for me as a person who's my faith is so important to me, like, the message of that song is also really important. So, a week of reflection, and I just wanted to share that. Thank you, as always, to my patrons on Patreon. You guys are great. Like the best. Best patrons I have. Thank you, of course, to Say What Reacts for the kind of guide to get through the BTS universe. That's great. I appreciate you. I'm not going to waste much more of your time. We're going to jump into this. Yes, we are doing 2 videos. How exciting. I think, they're a little bit shorter, so I figured let's just get both of these out of the way. Also, because these are the Japanese versions, which I've been told several times tend to get hit by copyright more often, I might have to do some cutting out of things in the video, or cut the actual video itself or the song, or make it transparent, and I don't want to decrease the enjoyment for you guys. So to compensate for kind of losing that visual aspect of what's going on, obviously I'm going to show the things that I'm talking about, but it's going to take some work to get this out, and I appreciate you guys understanding with that. I figured, in this one, let's do 2 videos to make up for the issues with one. Hopefully, I can get this edited on time and out. So if you're watching this on Friday, that means I did it. Yes. And if it's not Friday when it comes out, oops. Let's check this out. Even before I hit play, I just want to say real quick that this space that they're in really reminds me of Fake Love. And I think Fake Love is in the BANGTAN universe. I'm like 99% sure it is. So I wonder if this space somehow comes back. But the production design, right off the bat, I just want to put this out there. The production design is already absolutely stunning. All these flowers, ivy, leaves. I really love that. I really love that. And they're all in white and black. So you've got this burst of color around them, but they're in white and black. You've got a burst of life around them, but they're all laying on the ground. Such an interesting, opening frame. What a way to start it. Look how well they are framed within this, right? You guys have that little spinning circle, so I hope you enjoy seeing that. But what an opening shot. So much within the visual language of the story they're telling. Wow.
Everything.
Wow. So they're laying in the black. So it's sort of like a charred space. Suga seems like he's dealing with something throughout these videos. He broke the mirror. J-Hope's got something on his shirt. Okay, flowers. Sort of looks like the one Jin had. Oh, they all have flowers. Nice Dutch angle. We know I love that. Okay, so there's some matching cuts happening. Because they were, yeah, they're changing costumes, changing lighting between the shots. I like this dance. It does go round and round. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to try to unpack everything I just saw. Lots of unique camera movements. Very, very different than the other I Need You, which was a lot of kind of shoulder mount, handheld, a little bit more shaky. This has that more cinematic feel. This has that little bit more big budget feel. We're using a lot of Dutch angles. We're kind of changing perspectives as the camera's moving. Lots of mirrors throughout this. Lots of references to the flower and colors, whether it's, you know, this shot of RM that I'm looking at right now where it's kind of a grayish black wall with light hitting one side of it, which puts a lot of contrast on his face. So that tells me that there's a duality to him. With just within the lighting. There's also that kind of where he is where the colors start. We've got yellow that matches his hair and kind of a red that might symbolize blood, but also sort of matches the pink on his shirt. So that's interesting. We had, I'm guessing, Jimin sitting in front of the bathtub with all the leaves, or all the, what are those, just plants? I don't know. I'm not a horticulturist. All the plants around him. So, you know, this spot where he's drowned himself, and of course water is important to plants. They need it to live just like us. There's an interesting sort of theme happening there. In addition to that just being very visually pleasing. All the flowers are very visually pleasing. So that's fascinating. It is completely different than I Need You, but they're kind of hitting on a lot of similar themes. J-Hope looking in the mirror, right? There's a lot of heavy similarities that are going on. So I'm absolutely fascinated by that. Even within the dance, it looked like there was a little bit of puppeteering going on. There was a little bit of hiding that was going on. They're kind of turning away from the camera. Sometimes certain members would turn away. Others would look toward. I didn't catch who all was doing what. But then, you know, the lighting changes. So when they go from their like flowered shirts to they're doing the same dance with more like streetwear, more like what they would wear in the original I Need You video, the lighting becomes top down, like what I talked about in the apartment in whatever the one I just watched was, Run. We had that sort of top-down, sort of, you think like police precinct interview lighting, where it's like single light bulb and there's kind of some shadows underneath them. They've got what I assume is a matted softbox above them that's kind of dropping down and diffusing light, so we have soft shadows falling underneath their eyes, but it sort of gives them a slightly more depraved or lost look. So such an interesting contrast of the visual style, both within those two sequences in this video, but also the original I Need You. Okay, he's sitting on flowers. Okay. See what I mean with that diffused light? They don't really have the shadows I talked about, which is a little bit surprising that they don't. Right. Petals be just through. The pills, right? J-Hope looking tired. Sleep is a theme with him. Jin separate. Now Jin's got that shadow that I talked about, the diffused shadow falling on him. Okay. love this dance. So here's a key difference between the two shots. When we go to this world, where you see some of them are more in streetwear, some of them are more in like you see jackets. Something really interesting is that now their shadows are in front of them. So before, it's really clearly diffused light to the point where we really don't see many shadows. Now the shadows are falling in front of them, but we've also got a warm light coming in from what we call frame right. So on the right side of the frame, we've got a warm light shooting in across that's actually cutting their shadows in half. There's a light and a dark side even to the shadows of them, let alone to them. Now look at the light in the back where it's kind of blowing out some of the flowers just a little bit. They've kind of grayscaled it a little bit. So there's a key difference between these two worlds that we're looking at that they're dancing within. Also, I don't think everyone's there on this shot because I only see... Well, I mean, maybe the camera isn't done pulling back, but I only see 5 of them. Oh, nope, they were just off frame. Ignore me. Nice, and now they're totally dark from that spotlight behind them. Right. That a portal into a new world? He's in the void that it looked like V was in? Okay. So I just finished watching The Great Flower Fight on Netflix, so I've been thinking a lot about flowers lately. Oh yes. Of course, there's the idea of like flowers are obviously life. They provide life to the world, to bees, which are very important to the world. So save the bees.
You like jazz?
Also save the planet.
Hello, I'm David Attenborough.
Also, flowers are often given at funerals or when someone's sick or dying. So there's a duality to them too, right? Water, one can drown or it can provide life. Everything that's happening here, even within that warehouse itself, you've got the vines kind of creeping up on the walls, right? The building itself is almost sort of dead in that sense because those vines shouldn't be there. Of course, that means someone's not taking care of the building. So the building is dead even though there's life within. All of them sort of have this internal battle going on. V sitting on an entire hallway of flowers and crying. Why? What is happening with V specifically in that narrative? This was a little bit less focused on Jin, a little bit more focused on J-Hope in this one, and Jimin. So interesting to see how all that's going on. And there's something to do with mirrors, right? Because Suga broke the mirror in Run with a reflection in it, and Jungkook was in the room. So, okay, cool. I'm actually really glad that I'm doing both Run and I Need You in the same video because that's 2 of the 3 that I've seen, so I want to see both of them before I kind of formulate where I think it's going. I want to be able to see both. With that, let's jump into Run. I'll talk after about what I'm thinking and you can make fun of me for all the different ways in which I'm wrong. So we're opening up the aspect ratio in the same way that Run ended. Real quick, I've talked about cinematography, so I just want to touch on it real quick. Just look at this shot. Look at the vertical lines, even on the columns that are using the vertical lines. We've got horizontal lines splitting it. In the back, we've got vertical lines. The structure of this room is the exact same as the structure in I Need You, which is, again, very reminiscent of the structure of the room in Fake Love. You've got a diagonal line over to the right. Look at the use of light, creating a diagonal line back here. As they're walking in, it's directing the eye in certain directions. You can see where they're going. We've got a shadow on the column over here to the right. So look at all the lines that they're using. Look at the way this cinematography is telling you where to look. So cool. So cool. I love art and the way people's minds work. Interesting. Did he just get the call from V at the beginning of Prologue? Yeah, I bet he did. Broken glass on the ground. So he's kind of dealing with having broken the mirror and the fight with Jungkook and himself, I'm betting. Got the light bouncing off water. Cool choreography. Nice. Nice. Huh. Okay, so I'm sorry for pausing it in the chorus. I really like this song. I didn't talk about the song much in the last one. I really like Run. It's really, really catchy. I love the song. If I were someone who went for runs, I would listen to Run. But I don't like to run. But I'll still listen to Run. Okay, so we had Jungkook and Suga fighting in the Run music video. And this looks like we're dealing with the repercussions of that. So Suga broke the mirror and fought Jungkook, obviously. And I think that Jungkook, in the same way that he didn't fight back in I Need You, I don't think Jungkook would necessarily fight Suga. I've been thinking about it. And that would be a really quick swing, unless there's some kind of tension there that I haven't discovered. But I wonder if there's an element of trying to protect Suga from himself, or saying, this isn't who you are.
Who am I?
Especially with the theme of a mirror, looking at who you are and reflecting on who you are. And with the mirror being broken now, he's seeing himself in shards of mirror. And the way that I really know that contrast is happening is he's in a green room, he's got green hair, there's green tones to his room, and then in Jungkook's shots, there's a pink tone to it. And pink and green clash in a really cool way, visually. So that is a way that production design is being used to tell us to pay attention to those two. To pay attention to that pairing and that connection between the two of them. Pink also used for a sense of sort of innocence, and green sort of a poison or a greed. So that's interesting, right? I just wanted to make note of that real quick. So you're gonna see Dumbledore's eye? Technically Aberforth Dumbledore, but is that Jimin? Going into the fetal position. Does V in the room with him, maybe? Why does J-Hope have a feeling of like a puppet master? He sort of did the same thing in the I Need You video. Sorry, V, I love your voice. J-Hope has a sort of sleeping theme. So there was the pillow fight and obviously him falling on the bridge, but then also, I think, with the pills, there's something with sleeping in him, because now he's in this bed of feathers. And of course, if we're getting into this idea of death, life, and nirvana that's been touched on in the past few videos, feathers can kind of be symbolic of angels. So is there some sort of, like, he's sort of acting as a puppet master, I think, in the choreography? Maybe I'm reading too much into that, or probably more likely misreading it. Obviously, there's symbolism there. But I think the feathers are maybe functioning as some sort of angel, like he's protecting. We saw him tuck in Jimin in Prologue. So I wonder if there's some sort of thing happening there. At the same time, Jimin, with the bathtub, he's now in a tank of water, curling up in the fetal position. And if we're talking about nirvana and the process between death and rebirth, the fetal position in a tank of water, right? That's literally the birthing process. So I wonder if he's somehow going to like break out of it or burst out of that in some sort of way. Is V in the same room? Because it looked like the colors were similar. There's a reason why when all of them are together, they're in this space that's sort of just gray, black, and white with a little bit of a blue tone to it. This is sort of the neutral space that they're in. I'm guessing. Of course, Jin was in a room with water too, because we saw the reflection. I want to read that. What does all this say? Never mind. In bloom. Okay, flowers. H is never ming back. So something is never, I'm guessing, coming back. Nice. So now they've changed costumes. Now Suga's in pink. So definitely drawing a clear visual line between him and Jungkook. somehow waking up or fighting within the water. They're all pulling a Jimin and losing their jackets. He's using that Dutch angle on V a lot. A lot. Showing something's off balance. Doing the same thing with Jin. Jin is separating himself again. Interesting. Is that a flower that he crushed? Oh, so the space has changed. Now there's graffiti behind them. Yeah, it was youth. Youth is not coming back. Okay, I am now fully on the youth versus maturity or being older train. I can't tell which is preferred. I can't tell if they're saying you need to stay with your youth or if you need to cross into that adult life. But even look at this spot that I paused on. They're getting hit hard by a light that's off frame left. So really hitting this like there's something behind them or coming at them, right? It almost looks like headlights. And of course it's hitting Jungkook, who has stood in front of a car a couple of times. So there's so much going on. Youth is never coming back. Is that saying once you lose it, it's gone forever? Because absolutely, that's true. Is youth, are they talking about purely age or the mentality of youth? Because you can maintain that. Should you maintain that? Love the shots there with the camera kind of jolting with it. Some of them is his right hand spilling what looked like blood, but it's just paint, I think. I will not tell you bye-bye. Okay, my new official theory that I'm going to roll with here. It is a youth versus maturity thing. J-Hope is trying to cross the divide between youth and maturity, something to do with being asleep and being awake, and some sort of tangential existence there. Jimin and this water theme, so sort of a baptism or drowning in anxieties, maybe each of them represent a different mental health. Maybe, with the 7 deadly sins, maybe each of them represent a different deadly sin. Why is Jin separating himself? Why is Jin by himself? Why is Jin in the room by himself at the beginning of I Need You? I'm betting, even though I just said J-Hope's crossing the divide, there's something to do with Jin not accepting his need to mature. And or Jin is the only one who has matured. Maybe. But then again, RM with the lollipop cigarette, which is like a duality, right? Maybe it's about duality. I mean, that would feel very them, right? To do that, to talk about duality. Yeah. I wonder if it has to do with that, with this process of trying to find a balance between the two. V then, when V killed the man who I'm taking to be his father as of right now, when V killed the man, was that V also killing his youth? And is he now dealing with how to figure out life moving forward? Or, oh, I wasn't ready to be an adult. Is that why he's dealing with this? Is Suga dealing with the turmoil of growing up and wanting to stay a youth, and that's why he's getting angry and breaking things, because that's kind of the childish thing to do, where Jungkook's saying, no, don't fight back, find peace, choose nonviolence. Are all of them real? I think is a question that I have to start asking. Are some of them projections of some kind? Like V, is V somehow a... No, I feel like V's gotta be real. I feel like Jin and V are definitely real. And if Well, I was going to say if V is real, then RM has to be real, because I think V was calling RM. Because RM was in a phone booth, and that's the only phone call that we've seen. But what if RM is a part of V's mental state? So he's calling out really to himself for help. You know what I bet is a key is the different styles of shots being used. So there was a lot of handheld being used when they were specifically focusing on J-Hope, and I'm thinking over the kind of the scale of what I've seen so far, J-Hope, V, RM. There was a lot of that, and Suga and Jungkook. So that leaves what, Jimin and Jin with the more steady camera type stuff going on. Yeah. Honestly, I keep wanting to have all the answers, and of course I don't. I shouldn't.
I shouldn't. Do it.
I'm too far in, but like, obviously, I think it'd be hard to push me off the youth versus maturity theme of adulthood, but this sort of warehouse space that they're in keeps developing and changing. So I think that that's definitely a space of it. And I feel like with the alternate realities, the two worlds, is that the world of youth and the world of maturity? Is that the world of reality and disreality? Or are both worlds real and both are just projections of the other? Boy, that's getting metaphysical, isn't it? So again, there's a lot of possibilities. Are there obviously there are alternate timelines happening, but are there also alternate realities and different worlds occurring? And do all of them exist within the same one? Or are there multiple thems crossing each one? Are they, is J-Hope, are the pills preventing him from crossing into this other world? Is sleep the way through which one crosses? Because Jin woke up in that bed with the flower petals, which we saw Jungkook, I think, crushed, and then V threw, and Jimin burned. And he wakes up covered in those petals, and I know that he's been trying to protect a flower so far. I've seen it a lot. And then he wakes up, and there's kind of a light, right? And we talk, and then in Run, there was the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, now in the Run Japanese version, there's a light right above him. Yeah, wow, okay. I have no more answers for you. I'm really looking forward to next week. This is really fun. These are really, really fun. I am keeping some notes. Some of you have suggested to write down notes, but I don't want to write them down while I'm watching because I want to I don't want to distract my brain from what I'm seeing, if that makes sense. So this is brilliant. This is really cool. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I hope you're enjoying. I hope you're laughing at my dumb theories. And we'll be back next week with another video. But until then, please be safe, be well, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye.